I'm running low on ideas. Who knew that it is, in fact, a burden to handle both content and academics at the same time?
You clearly knew what you were getting into when you decided to revive the dead.
Moxie, come on. We've had this discussion plenty before. I'm no longer interested in the ethical implications of that.
You still owe me one for that throw, don't you remember?
Yes, of course I remember, and, well, I still regretted each passing second. But just hear me out this time, for once. Do you have any possible ideas for me?
You did mention something you wanted to talk about in your weird Bop It video, didn't you?
Did I? P.S. Retrofuturism is stupid. Huh. Maybe that'll be a video down the line. Oh, hey, I did! But I didn't even purchase you yet. How are you aware of that video?
I just know everything. It's that simple. The same reason that I know about the death.
Salutations, Homo sapiens. It is, at long last, time for me to revisit a video concept that I had thrown out spontaneously during the Bop It video. I made a subtle nod to how today's younger folk seem to yearn for older products, most prevalently in the electronics sector, over those of the present. This is an especially common trend amongst those on the later end of Generation Z and the earliest of Generation Alpha, the generations of the internet and social media dominance. Yes, I'm included in that grouping myself, but I must say that when I see my peers on the internet romanticize the ever-loving f*** out of, say, a vinyl record or a VHS tape or other relic of the past, I can't help but wonder, why? What's the philosophy behind being stuck in foregone eras that these individuals weren't even alive themselves for? Is there even a philosophy to begin with? Of course, perhaps I'm not equipped to answer those questions myself, but I will still attempt to. Why, in my opinion, the entire movement of retrofuturism is... wait, is that even the proper word? The term retrofuturism refers to a form of artistic expression where the distant future is portrayed by the past. So, if that's not what the phenomenon is called, what is it called? Not necessarily a hipster, since these are younger folks getting into habits that didn't exist during their lifetime. Perhaps the word is anachronism? Or is it philarchaist? Or some other word that nobody has actually identified? The true description may be unclear, so for now I'll simply use the word retrofuturism because it's the easiest to understand. Enough of me focusing on definitions though, let's get into the actual topic, why don't we? The irony of a sir like me wearing what I wear complaining about old-fashioned methods, you probably don't expect me out of anyone to care about this. Alas, I made my statement 7 months ago for a solid reason. In a sense, there isn't much for me to even say about it. The flaws of this way of thinking speak for themselves. Consider the vinyl record, seemingly the most common old technology in use today, as an example. Ever since the late 2010s and the start of the 2020s, physical media collectors have defaulted to these over the much more objectively advanced compact disc. Physical media is a wonderful thing, and I do believe it's much better than just streaming the music through the internet. But why are we using records exactly? A vinyl is more expensive than a CD, you usually need to flip the record halfway through, a good quality turntable is an investment and a half, and these things are way larger than necessary for the modern age. Maybe this is a larger issue in that I don't understand collectors, but I myself collect CDs and think that's perfectly normal. Why exactly is there a motivation to do this, and more importantly, why the f*** are vinyl sales so much higher than CD sales? There's a debate to be had over sound quality, and it's well within your right to prefer analog sound, but you can't argue that just playing a WAV file isn't more consistent in quality. I've also heard the argument that the vinyl experience has more extras and larger artwork to admire, which is also somewhat true, but so?
Well, you're just an old-timey prick.
An old-timey prick who specifically prefers the content of today.
Your hat is stupid!
How dare you disrespect my fedora! Everyone is entitled to preference, except when I disagree. With that being said, let's look at another example. See this? This is a disposable camera, or an imaging system that I literally have never seen anyone use in my own lifetime. These things are apparently seeing their own resurgence in the world of photography due to the appearance of the images, which is a strange quality to appreciate considering that this is an effect that could be applied digitally in a matter of seconds. It doesn't make you look cool holding this obsolete piece of hardware and taking pictures. It makes you look like someone trying to recreate an era that does not exist anymore. I could theoretically continue on this road for a while, from VHS tapes to iPods to those off-white desktops from the early 1990s. If anything, I'm personally more interested in learning why people do this to begin with. It doesn't look cool, in fact, it makes a 13-year-old look like they're trying to be 50. It's absolutely not nostalgic nostalgic since these people weren't even alive when these pieces of technology were in their prime. It's trendy? Well, when we have musicians like Abel Tesfaye and co trying to emulate the style of classic music and these songs blow up, I guess the trend aspect is a given. It's cool to act like you were there, even when you know very well you weren't. Maybe these teens are trying to experience the world before the advent of social media. That kind of makes sense, until you realize that these same teens would be unable to survive without their precious TikTok and Instagram to keep them company. The same crowd that can't even recognize a Nintendo dual screen, which is still a legendary piece of hardware by the way, that just wishes to go even further back to when the mobile smartphone didn't even exist? Yeah, tough luck. If anything, I'd like to see this group survive during that era, realizing that they have no TikTok and the latest operating system out is Windows 3.1. It's like some strange take on romanticism, but even less logically based. Oh, and do not even get me started on the Frutiger Arrow fad. Whoa, look, I have Windows 7 installed on my laptop now because I'm just so quirky. I love this transparency. You know, Windows 11 has nothing on this. Your operating system isn't f***ing supported anymore, you lunatic! Get a new one already! Retrofuturism, or whatever the correct term is, earns a 5 out of 13 from me as a social trend. I never have, and at this point, likely never will, understand the true motivation that young teens have for reminiscing about and yearning for a past that they have no actual experience with. Romanticism in and of itself is foolish, and this feels like an even less sensible variation. The world of today is hardly pretty at all, I will concede to that point alone. However, it is still a world that we currently exist in. Pretending that it's still 1990 or in some cases 2014, even though 2014 was hardly a special year, creates a level of disconnect that we cannot afford to deal with at the moment. When you can't have it all, you seem to create something that nobody actually has, it seems. Surely it isn't hard to enjoy right now today, is it? Yeah, right. In all seriousness, all Homo sapiens are entitled to their opinions, and this is not a personal attack towards anyone. Alas, I do not see the philosophy behind this trend to any capacity. I'd most certainly prefer to enjoy what there is to enjoy today, and in that regard, you shall also enjoy yourselves.